welcome everybody. My name is Maralee Burnett. I am your astrologer, back with the messages for the week of March 16th, which is one of the most powerful weeks this year where we are going to finally gain some momentum and start seeing things move forward in our lives. We have a powerful conversation with Mercury in the North and South Node. We have a magical, shocking, surprising new moon in the sign of Pisces. We have the Spring Equinox. So, like I said, this is a power-packed week where we want to be ready in our own way to also get moving forward. So if this sounds like an interesting week and you want to make sure you don't miss any of the details, now might be a great time to make sure you click on that subscribe button so you get notification every time I post this content, typically every weekend, and then daily through my tarot cards. So again, you want to make sure you're following me so that you don't miss any of the details. Also, and almost more importantly, go out to my website, maraleeburnett.com. Of course, the link will be down below. And there you have access to all my free resources, all of the written content that goes along and supports these videos. So out there right now for you to help you get ready for this new moon in Pisces is, of course, the article about the new moon in Pisces, as well as the March monthly article, as well as a new moon in Pisces intention setting worksheet. So go take a look and get yourself ready and prepared for surprising new beginnings. Of course, we're going to break that all down here in a few minutes. But when you join my website and get access to all of that free content, then you will get these articles emailed to you. And I'm not a spammer and I don't put out 10,000 articles and email you multiple times per day. I really try to stick with some core important things like the new moons, the full moons, and the monthly horoscope and the worksheets, and even have a 2026 worksheet that you can access, of course, for free once you join my website. And then that gives you all of the important dates for the retrogrades, for when planets are changing signs, for the new moons, so full moons and the eclipses. So we're just moving through eclipse season now. And the next eclipses for the year ahead will happen in August. And a lot of stuff is going to be cooking this summer. So again, you're going to make sure you're subscribed and here to hear all about it as I discuss this week by week. So with that, let us get aligned here on Monday, the 16th. So we have been in this energy of fated actions because of the fact that we have had Mars speaking with that North Node in the weekend prior, right? Friday the 13th, all the hubbub that goes on with that date. And now that Mars has marched forward, we are seeing Mercury here and back basically to the place it was when it started its retrograde, so many weeks ago. And it's been a fun one. Mercury in the water signs this year is going to cause a lot of inner reflection on our feelings, how we deal with emotional upsets. And so we've just about completed the first chapter, and we will, of course, then have to deal with it in Cancer and finally in the sign of Scorpio throughout the year. So this has been the warm up to what it means when we have the planet of communication in water signs in the year ahead. So speeches are impassioned and our emotions are playing games with our head. Yeah. We end up with a lot of fuzzy thinking and the details become more difficult. Travel becomes more difficult. So today and over the next several, we're going to watch Mercury slow down, get ready to station to go to direct. And the whole time it is talking to the North Node. So anytime a planet slows to station, whether it's going direct or retrograde, it puts out a lot more energy. And so since Mercury is about details, and in the sign of Pisces, it's about secrets, subconscious thoughts, communication, and of course, our fate and destiny. The North Node is where we're growing, where we're going towards. And the South Node in Virgo is what we're moving away from. And so this is a time for fated movement and actions and changes and conversations that could get a little heated and definitely shocking and surprising in some way. And we're in this energy for a good week. So that South Node Virgo, those are the old systems of control, of perfection that we are moving away from so that we can be more faith-based, more creative, more trusting in the process, and willing to let go and end the things that are no longer meant for us. So Pisces, of course, is the last sign in the zodiac. So it does represent endings of some kind. And so, of course, wherever you've had Mercury going forward and then retrograde over the past 6 weeks, well, now it's time to begin to understand whatever's been going on, even if it's just been going on beneath the surface. This is when the aha moments begin to happen, where all the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. And the thing about, fate and destiny guiding us is, of course, we have free will. How we respond matters. You want to respond in a way that is breaking old patterns of believing and thinking. And so on Monday, helping us do that as well is this Uranus energy in the sign of Taurus. Again, if you've been watching me, I've been telling you the stock market's going to keep doing this until April, when it will go into the sign of Gemini and maybe calm this down a little bit. So today, the moon is still in the sign of Aquarius, bringing the people together, and the homeland and the people are coming together. And Uranus is challenging those people and those groups in some way. It could be, financial restrictions that are affecting the people. But a square also means that you have the choice to stop letting mob mentality control your way of being. And there could be money that's offered somehow that helps break groups free from one another. You yourself can take a look and say, you know what, my values just are no longer aligned with this group that I thought I was always going to be a part of, this friendship. And instead, I need to make a change. Instead, I need to, Mercury North Node, speak up for myself and what I want. So that energy of change and fate is how we get started with the week ahead. And so let us move ahead to Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're not going to see a lot of change, but we will see that moon now has entered into the sign of Pisces, and it's getting energized by that Mars energy here, also sitting in the sign of Pisces. And so the moon, right, it moves through the sky the fastest. It has the most conversations energetically with all of the other planets in the zodiac system and the stars and the fixed stars. So trust your intuition to guide you on wherever you're supposed to go, whatever choices you're supposed to make, whatever action you're supposed to take today. It will come through as a knowing. Especially if you happen to have planets around the 12 degrees of Pisces. When you have this feeling of, I must go do this. And it doesn't make any sense. Why? You don't ask why. You just go do the thing, show up at the place, and watch what ends up unfolding as a result. Now, keep in mind also, as the moon begins to move through here, it is going to have a positive conversation, and Mars is now as well, with that Jupiter energy that again is finally moving us ahead. While it happens to be squaring with the other benefic planet, Venus, in the sign of Aries. So again on Tuesday, still the element of change, but this is definitely change that benefits us in some way. This is something that we've wanted, something that we've desired, and the universe is conspiring to help it become a reality. But remember, all of these things come from our willingness to break free from old ways of thinking, old ways of structuring our lives. And when we do that, that's when these new opportunities, these new doors open for us. So the other thing I like about Jupiter, thankfully moving forward, finally, it's very slowly moving forward here, however, is that heaviness, that emotional heaviness that we've been feeling probably ever since really Jupiter moved into the sign of Cancer. I know it's good here, but if you're a very sensitive person, the planet sitting here can feel very heavy for you. And I could go on forever about this, but I'm just going to say now that it's moving forward, at least some of that heaviness will lighten up, and the rewards for doing the work, those will start showing up, especially over this week as these positive connections are made. Even though it's a square with Venus, when the two benefics square one another, it's not a bad thing. It's almost like a stroke of luck that changes some element in your life. And that's what we get here on Tuesday. And Tuesday's the day when Mercury is exact with that North Node. So again, faded conversations, faded details, faded information, faded secrets that have been hidden suddenly coming to the surface. This is going to be a week that we look back on and go, wow, things really started shifting and changing in March of 2026. So, what are you hoping changes for you? Well, that could very well be showing up here in the new moon, of course, in the sign of Pisces on Wednesday of this week. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown of the new moon, and then I am going to finish the next few days of the week since we have the spring equinox to talk about as well. And then at the end, I'll give you the breakdown by sign. But as I said, make sure you go out and read my article and read or download the new moon intention setting worksheet as well, because all those things are going to help you get really focused in on how you're setting your intentions for this new moon. Now, the document is just there to help you. You don't even have to fill it out, but it can just help organize your thoughts. And again, make sure you're in tune with this energy, which is pretty darn exciting. So let's just move this forward a couple of hours so that we can see the moon exactly with the sun. And what is exciting about this new beginning at the end of the zodiac is that it's being fueled by Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So this new beginning happens as a result of something that you ended, and maybe you've ended it prior to now. And then there's a new beginning that surprises and shocks you in some way. And you're going to ask what everybody always asks me, is it a good surprise or a bad surprise? It's a sextile. So this is subtle energy. It could be, like I said, a very subtle little surprise. It could be a financial windfall for some people. It all depends on where you happen to have this Uranus and Taurus energy that's fueling this new beginning in the sign of Pisces and wherever this is. And of course, we'll do that breakdown later. But this is happening at the same time as that exact square between Jupiter and Venus. So again, that tells me there's a change in circumstance that can be blessed. But it does require change. It does require action because again, Mars from now through this weekend is going to be speaking in harmony with Jupiter. So you need to get moving. You need to check in with your intuition and then take the action that you're being guided to take. You may be needing to do things for family because, of course, Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer. So personally, I have a trip planned that's all about family for this whole week. And so I'm very curious the things that will come up and people that I'll meet on the road. And this should be a really enlightening week as I am doing what I'm guided to do and just get on the road. So blessed be Mercury, please be kind to me as I get started while this retrograde's still happening. So what are you being guided to do? And even though you don't realize it, what new opportunity is possible, right? Because that's the thing about this dreamy energy of Pisces, these blessings from Jupiter and you finishing that work, is it can almost be a bit of a Cinderella moment in some ways. And remember, Cinderella's story isn't great from beginning to end. There's a lot of hardships that she goes with. And if you're a Bridgerton fan, you've seen it just recently in the same storytelling in another way. But it's the hard work that you do anyway out of obligation to family, for instance, that ends up being so rewarding in the end. And it's not that you do the things out of obligation, like you have to do them. You just know it's the right thing to do. And then the blessings start coming in. So that's the energy that is showing up for us with this new moon. And so it's so important that you use that element of surprise, that lightning bolt from Uranus, to help you end attachments to anything that's in the way of whatever dream you have for yourself. So we will break that down a little bit more for each sign at the end of this video. And if that's all you came here to listen for, well, I'll have it time-stamped and you can just click on that and check out your message. But I think you want to hear about what else is going on the rest of the week because, as I mentioned, it's a power-packed week. And the new moon is what I've been calling just the next domino that's about to fall. That first domino, that was in February when Saturn and Neptune met at the 0 degree, the beginning of the zodiac. And now here we have this new moon at the end of the zodiac. So to activate that new beginning, we got to use the energy of this new moon in Pisces. So let's move ahead and look at Thursday. So on Thursday, that moon is going to shift into the sign of Aries. And so the moon in Aries is challenging what you need to feel safe and secure. Instead of needing family to help you feel safe and secure, the moon in Aries is very independent energy. And the moon does meet up with Venus. It does meet up with Jupiter. So again, I think this emboldens you to take action you wouldn't normally have considered taking because maybe it feels a little bit selfish. But it's the right thing to do. And that's what this conversation that's going to continue to build between Mars and Jupiter in these water signs is going to be teaching you also. Today, there are some powers that be working together to create some kind of a partnership that changes the dynamic of the world's current energy right now. And that's because we have Pluto in Aquarius. So the people, or a leader of the people, is joining hands with Saturn in Aries, which is, again, somebody older, wiser, strong, and independent that can maybe step up to lead these people. So could we potentially this week see yet another regime change in Iran, or maybe it's Israel? There is the potential for some people to be working behind the scenes to start creating, pretty big changes. And in our own lives, right? This is mentor. This is a group that you are a part of that are guiding you towards the changes, right? So now you've seen what's possible with this new moon, and then the people are showing up because you opened the door to invite in the change. And you feel, like I said, emboldened. You got the moon in Aries here as it talks with Venus and talks with Jupiter. That's feeding you so that you feel really strong and you feel very capable of making a big change. Then we have the intensity of course, the sun at the last degree of Pisces, highlighting what we accepted had to end with our new moon intentions. And now we're seeing what that ending actually looks like. And anytime we have a planet at 29 degrees, it tests us. It feels critical in nature, this test. This is, can I actually end the thing? That's what this energy says today. Can I end the thing? Of course, you're still being fueled by Uranus. Uranus is saying, yes, you can just break free already. And this is your moment in the spotlight of doing the thing. So my advice, if you want things to change, finally end the thing that you've been making excuses for a very long time now. And once you end it, all the things can start showing up for you. And so this is the last chapter. This is how we close this work out, all as Mercury has now stationed and is about ready to go direct. So this is a big moment. Whatever's going on in your life this week, it's not little, it's not subtle. And especially, like I said, anybody with this planets, personal planets in Virgo, in Pisces, you're really feeling this intensely right now. And again, as a planet slows down to change direction, like Mercury is, things are really spinning right now as far as the dialogue, the news, the information, the secrets. There's all kinds of things, such as a Saturn and a Pluto working together because they know the secrets. And by exposing the secrets, they're going to take somebody down. We shall see how that unfolds. And then as we head into Friday, dun, 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 here we go. The Spring Equinox, first day of spring. It happens because, of course, the sun's at 0 degrees of Aries. Oh, that place where Saturn and Neptune met in February to help us realize our dreams and the way forward. Well, now the sun shines a light on the dream that we have for ourselves. And as it does, lo and behold, Mercury has also ended its retrograde. And so it's time to move forward. The past is done holding you back in some way. And so now you are getting all of the details that you needed in order to close this chapter and begin a new one. So I think that this could be a really shocking, surprising day, right? It's what I've been calling the Big Bang moment, was when Saturn and Neptune met at 0 degrees Aries. And, Neptune can be things that are still hidden beneath the surface. Saturn's just giving us the structure. And now when the sun is there giving a spotlight to what began, now it's no longer hidden. Now we can see it. There can be leaders who are suddenly stepping into the limelight now to help ensure the structure that's needed to go forward from this point is being built. So old systems, old ways of doing things, like war, different day, same argument, power and money, just insert your country here. Same battle, religious freedom, just insert your country here. It hasn't changed in centuries. So this is the time for change to begin to truly happen. Imagine if we didn't need oil. What would happen with all of these wars? We need to start being more forward thinking to what comes next versus continuing to keep the same structure in place. It's not lasting past this cycle. And as we get into the summer, we're going to start to realize what that really means as the South Node finishes up its time here in the sign of Virgo. So today, the wheels are starting in motion, and fate is the one driving. That's what the North Node is about. It's driving us towards the future, showing us what we have to end, giving us the learnings that we need so that we can end some patterns that just no longer serve us or support us in any way. And we will continue to feel, in some ways, like we are on a quest or a mission. That's Mars speaking in harmony with Jupiter that wants justice, wants there to be some righteousness, in this world. So we'll have to keep an eye on this because it can inspire some religious crusades on certain people that could be a bit harmful. But again, we are beginning to learn the lessons that this kind of way of thinking, it just doesn't serve us as a collective anymore. And so this could be the kind of energy where we thwart some kind of act like that because of the fact that what was being done under the cover of darkness with that Mercury retrograde, now it's in the light, and now the spotlight is on individuals that may be making choices that are not the best for all involved. Now, I do like that Pluto in Aquarius has now moved to the 5th degree. And the number 5 is about change for the collective, for the people with that Aquarius energy, changes that are, innovative, that Uranus energy. So we are, again, continuing to move forward and create those changes for society as a whole. And that momentum is starting now. It'll pick up even more once we have Uranus in the sign of Gemini, also feeding into this Saturn and Pluto, of course, Neptune storyline as well. Those energies are going to be connected as we go through these big shifts this summer, and we'll need the help. All right, so happy Spring Equinox. Happy Fire Horse year. It's time to get going. It's time for the new beginnings. As we round out the weekend, this is again where now the energy between Mars and Jupiter is exact. So wherever you're being called to go, to do, that's good for everybody. That's what you should do on a day like today. And slowly but surely, as that Mercury energy is spinning, we need to be reminded that sudden changes in momentum can have us feeling a little bit like we don't have the right equilibrium, especially because we're talking about water. So as these shifts and changes are happening, as you're feeling called to do things, it is always Mars who is the gasoline, right? Pours the gasoline on the fire and makes it bigger and more dramatic. And then you have Jupiter making it also bigger and more dramatic. So always remember that we have to ground ourselves. So we have the moon in the sign of Taurus on Saturday. It's speaking in harmony with the nodes. So again, this is about paying attention to your intuition. This can be a really indulgent day, so be careful about your spending. Be careful about, too much comfort food eating. But today might be a good day to just allow yourself to indulge. Break some rules. Don't worry about your diet today. Just enjoy the moment, because when the moon's in Taurus, it's super happy. And so that can activate your happiness feelings inside as well. So you're taking action, but you're being cautious because we're still in that little crazy Mercury energy that can still cause some missteps. But tuning in, listening to your intuition, and taking action in a thoughtful, careful way is going to really pay off. And I can't wait to hear the stories that come in from you guys. All right. And then we round out the week on Sunday. And here there is just still the continued conversations that we've already been discussing. So that's why I feel like this week as a whole is helping us move forward. So it should feel like incrementally all week long, like there's a little bit more detail, a little bit more information. A new door opens for us. And it all goes back to the very beginning of this Mercury retrograde work for you. And what have these last 6 weeks really been about? Well, now, if you didn't understand it, you're starting to. And you'll understand it even more next week as, Mercury starts moving forward and moving away from that North Node. And today we also can have some happy surprises because that moon is still in the sign of Taurus, and then it meets up with Uranus. So again, whatever house you happen to have this transit happening in, there can be some really happy surprises that will show up for you at this time. So what a power-packed week. So just real quickly, the other things that we'll focus on for next week is going to be the fact that we will have this conversation between the Sun in Aries, Saturn in Aries, and of course that Pluto and Aquarius energy. And of course we've got Neptune there as well. Don't mean to overlook you, Neptune. So sorry. So this is like a mastermind event where all of these leaders are coming together, including religious leaders, to come up with a solution to what is going on in the Middle East. So we may see some lessening maybe of the Gulf states that are getting embroiled in everything that's going on, and maybe some peace talks that are more productive is one way that could possibly show up. So, like I mentioned, it's a really power-packed week, but here's where Mercury next week will start slowly moving us forward. And so the week following this new moon is really more about us understanding what's possible and starting to move in that direction. But there won't be a lot of major activity going on for the week of the 23rd, like there was for this week. So let's go back and look at this new moon event and do the breakdown for every sign so that you can get an idea of what surprises are in store and where maybe the surprise element is coming from for you. So the new moon happens, of course, on the 18th with all of the things that we discussed. Sun and moon at the last degrees of Pisces, so a big ending that invites new opportunities that could surprise you because of the fact that Uranus is, as I mentioned, fueling this new beginning. Uranus in Taurus, financial opportunities, financial surprises. There could be surprises involving the earth with this that come from the water. It's all kinds of potential. Like I said, the element is just a surprise. Good or bad, there is surprises in store, and all the work that we're about to do is fated and a part of the lessons over the last 6 weeks. So you can go back if you're just tuning in for this portion for more details on that breakdown. But right now, we're going to get started breaking this down for the sign of Aries. So Aries, Pisces, of course, for you, this would be the house behind you. That makes it your 12th house. Now, this is one where you definitely want to look at your own chart. For this, I use whole houses because it's easier to show you, but I use Placidus in all of my sessions. And with a late degree like this, even though I'm going to say, hey, Aries, this is happening in your 12th house, depending on how your house setup is, maybe it's not. So take a look at your chart first. But for the purposes of this recording, a 12th house new moon is a Pisces new moon, literally. It is clearing out old ways of thinking and believing so that you can start over and start something new. Now, what helps you do that, what helps you clear these subconscious thoughts, or what helps you break free from some kind of a large institution, whether you've been stuck in a hospital and unwell, or literally you could be stuck in prison, stuck in a job that feels like a prison. These are all 12th house topics, and health and well-being, right? From that hospital element. Well, there could be surprise income coming to you, a change in job that you were not expecting is what you would get from this Uranus energy being in your second house, Aries. So there, money coming in that you weren't expecting gives you the opportunity to break free from a place, even if it's just mentally, that you've been feeling like you're stuck, you're trapped, and there's no way out. But after this new moon, you're going to realize a dream, something's very personal to you. Now, Pisces is ruled by Neptune today. Its previous ruler, traditional, was Jupiter. And so, again, we are seeing the influence with Neptune in Aries for us to finally realize our dreams and what we want and we're ready to go after. So that's what this new moon brings for us, is a change because of the fact that Jupiter's also squaring with Venus in the sign of Aries, and Neptune, of course, is sitting here with Saturn. Saturn's starting to break away a bit, leaving Neptune behind to continue feeding us our dreams. But things are shifting and changing. This is a time where we cannot keep doing what we did in the past. So you Aries have all this energy in your own sign with Neptune and Saturn and Venus all there, all people, all influences that are saying it's time you let yourself go after what it is that you've been dreaming about. And then magically, surprisingly, if you need money to do that thing, it's going to show up for you. So, big year of change ahead for you, Aries. And again, don't waste the energy that's showing up for you this week in particular, because of course, you very early born Aries are going to feel this intensely, and your quest is about to begin. And everybody around you might think you're a little crazy. Do it anyway. All right. Then we have, I'm moving this and it shouldn't be. Then we have, it's still Mercury retrograde. So then we have Taurus. And Taurus, this happens in your 11th house of friend groups. So this is a new beginning or a new adventure that has everything to do with your friends. And this could be that you are sharing a dream with a friend. I know I'm taking my close friend with me on my road trip. That's going to have me adventuring for the next 3 weeks. She happens to be a Taurus, so that's perfect, right? Doing what we're supposed to be doing. Now, that surprise element comes from the first house. So this is maybe you Tauruses investing in a venture that one of your friends has. And as you do this together, then you may uncover something that surprises you. Maybe it's somewhere that you go or visit and you have like a big aha moment. And then you and this friend decide to do this new venture together. So this is an energy, of course, of that, independent element with that Neptune in Aries energy as Neptune ruler of this new moon is saying, what do you dream about for yourself? What do you want to do? And what are you willing to do just for yourself? Well, you don't have to do it alone, is what this combination of the 11th house and the first house says. It says that your friends will show up to support you, even though this is really different for you, Taurus. This is unexpected, but of course you've been doing the unexpected, and surprising, shocking things have been happening to you ever since you've had Uranus in your sign. But good news is April 25th, it's going to be moving on, and now the Geminis can deal with it, but they're a little bit more comfortable with that kind of energy. Things are really going to get wild and crazy once the energy goes into Gemini, trust me. So this is something new that you can begin. If it's not about friendships, Taurus, it could be about joining a new group. It could be because of work, right? Our networking groups. It also could introduce you to somebody who's like a fairy godparent, a benefactor of some kind that's willing to invest in you so that you can do this new innovative thing that you've uncovered recently as a result of some exposure to a new group, for instance. But it's definitely time to reinvigorate your 11th house of friend groups and get out and start having more fun. All right. Next, we have Geminis. Gemini, this could be a really big change for you in your career sector, because the 10th house is our career. It's our status. It's our reputation. It's what we're most known for. There can be father energy here in the 10th house as well. So a new beginning in any and all of those areas can come as a result of a surprise in your 12th house. So let's just focus on career to keep it simple. And if you happen to work for a large financial institution, for instance, there can be a surprising change in that organization. And as a result of those changes, a new, career window opens for you. And you wouldn't want to question it. Like, even though this feels like a significant change from what you had planned, this is something that when that kind of a door opens with all of this energy aligned for you, you just want to absolutely walk right through it. Now, that Neptune energy is in your 11th house of friends and networking groups. So it could be through a friend that you realize this new opportunity, or you're given this new opportunity. And again, it could be a tremendous change in your career, but you'll have to leave one that you're pretty attached to in order to do it. But do it anyway, Gemini. You will not regret it. And then we have Cancers. Cancer, this is a new beginning in your 9th house. The 9th house that speaks of foreign people, foreign places, justice, higher education, higher learning, spiritual journeys, all of those things that allow us to grow is what we have access to. And of course, as I've mentioned, you have Jupiter in your sign, and thank the heavens, it's now moving ahead. So you can stop feeling stuck. Or at least since last November, you may have been feeling stuck and like, why can't I move this weight off of me? Like, it's been a test. You're supposed to stay faithful to the work. So there is this new growth opportunity that is presenting itself to you. Maybe some of you are going to want to go back to school, and you would have this energy that helps you do that. You may have a group, for instance, because of the help in your 11th house from Uranus that like gives you the scholarship, the money that you need to do whatever this is to help you grow. So that's a fun fairy godparent kind of energy that invests in you so that you can go pursue your dream. Maybe some of you want to live in a foreign country. Same thing. You would be given some money to be able to accomplish and do just that. So the nice thing is with the Taurus and the Cancer energy, those work very harmoniously with one another. So does that Pisces energy, because of course it's also a water sign. So you have a lot of potential. But early degree Cancers know that this Neptune, this Saturn, this Sun conversation that happens later in the week challenges you to change your thinking, challenges you to get outside of your little protective shell and take a bit of a risk, but it will be rewarded. So go for it, Cancers. And then we have Leos. Leo, this is a surprise that happens in your 8th house. So that house of death, rebirth, transformation, power, intimacy, all of those things fall in here, and money that comes to you from other people. So there could be some surprise, unexpected inheritance that comes to you from somebody on your father's side of the family because of the fact that you have that Uranus energy in your 10th house. It could be money that you get from your employer. That would be a surprise bonus that you weren't expecting that, again, comes in. And because it's the 8th house of transformation, this financial impact could really change up your day-to-day life and whatever it is that you were expecting to do. And then suddenly this windfall that comes in could change everything for you in a pretty exciting way. So 10th house can, again, have something to do with father, something to do with career, your status, your reputation, something that you're known for, is helping to bring a major change in your life at this time. For some, maybe you're going to get into a new relationship, one where intimacy is really important to both of you, putting down the walls and the barriers. But whatever's happening, whatever this new beginning is, you feel inspired by it. And of course, your fire element. And so when you have the sun, when you have Saturn, Neptune, Venus, all in a fire sign, it's again, energy that fuels you to take charge, to make a difference in some way. And you're going to be a little famous for it, I think. So let me know what's showing up for you, Leos. And then we have Virgo. So Virgo, this happens for you in your 7th house of serious relationships because, of course, the opposite sign for you is Pisces. And so there is a chapter ending in your relationships. Now, it can be a business contract. It can be some other kind of contract, but it can also be your marriage partner. And out of this chapter that ends for you, there is a new beginning for you. So the marriage doesn't have to end, but the elements of the marriage that aren't working, if one or the other of you is too controlling, maybe you both are, if one or the other of you is too critical of the other, these are patterns that we're ready to break free from and invite change. If you aren't open to relationships, then this could bring a surprising, shocking new relationship to your attention. And you would meet that person through that Uranus energy in the 9th house. So if you're open to a new relationship, you may be wanting to eat in foreign restaurants. You may want to go on a trip to a foreign country. You may want to go to take a seminar on some spiritual content or go back to school. And there you would meet this person unexpectedly. You may literally bump into them and a new relationship would then begin. But it would definitely be odd and unusual because that Aries energy for you, it shows up in that in conjunct, like this doesn't exactly fit. This wasn't what I was expecting. But trust, if you're being guided to end any kind of relationship at this time, regardless of what's coming next, do it. It's time for you to move on and invite in what's meant for you and invite in the relationship that's more aligned with your energy, where you're headed, where you're going. And instead of holding you back, this next one's going to help lift you up. And that's what you've been waiting for. And Libras, this is happening for you in your 6th house. So this could invite a new beginning that has everything to do with your work, with your health, with your day-to-day life, whatever you have been focused on out of those categories. Even new pets could come to you at this time. So this is when we're releasing, letting go of anything that is a part of our day-to-day life that just isn't healthy anymore. Maybe you've been working on your health specifically, and now you're ready to start something fresh and new and healthier. Maybe you're going to go focus more on a pescatarian diet. You've been a vegetarian, and now you're introducing fish into your diet. I say that because of Pisces. But whatever this new health focus is, it's very beneficial to you as a whole because that Uranus energy for you is in your 8th house of, again, the house of transformation and rebirth. So this new focus that you've given on what you do in your day-to-day life is going to really change and transform you. So Libras, if you've been looking to get healthy, if you've been looking for the motivations to stick to a diet and exercise routine, this is the best time of year to do it. And because all of that Aries energy, of course, where the ruler Neptune sits, is in your seventh house of your marriage partner or really close friends, they're going to challenge you and help push you to stick to whatever this is. So you can do this, and you're going to have some really strong people in your corner that don't let you fall back on old habits of behavior so that this doesn't keep motivating you and pushing you and moving you forward in some way. So somehow your partner over the next several years is really going to play a key role in helping challenge you to, again, be more independent and not just people pleasing all of the time. I know it's going to be hard, but you can do it, Libras. I have faith in you. All right. And then we have Scorpios. Scorpio, this is your fifth house. It's opening your heart to what's possible. It could be opening you to the possibility of having children. It could be romance, hobbies. These are all things that become possible when we get reconnected to our heart again as well. So what do we have to let go of? Anything that we're attached to, but we really aren't emotionally attached to it. It's just something that you do out of habit, but it doesn't feed your heart anymore. Then when you let that go, what is meant for you, what's aligned for you, that's what's going to come in at the time of this new moon. Now, these are both relationship houses. So the fifth house where the new moon is and the seventh house where Uranus sits, the marriage house, says this, if you're looking for love, this is going to shock you. It's going to surprise you. You never saw this coming. It definitely is happening out of left field. And because that Neptune energy actually sits in your sixth house of the work you do, it could be that you meet somebody at work and it turns into so much more. So it's pretty exciting. Let me know, Scorpios. And next we have Sagittarius. So here we have, again, another fire sign. And that all those fiery energies in the sign of Aries are feeding you right now. Anything is possible, and you already thought that. But this could have something to do with your fourth house of home and family, where your family could be suddenly expanding and changing in some way, or your physical home that you live in is growing and changing in some way. And that could be the result of a surprise pregnancy. It could be the result of a surprise bonus at work, because that Uranus element is in your sixth house of the work you do. Could be some kind of payout from an investment that you've had for some time. Maybe somehow you lost track of it. But whatever is going on, it is letting things start fresh and new at home. Now, for some people, you might be thinking it's time for a whole makeover, because the fourth house can be our physical bodies as well. But just be careful, because we're still in that Mercury retrograde energy, and Uranus is very shocking and surprising. So it could not turn out as expected. So instead, I would do some fun, creative things within the household. Maybe redecorate with some fun colors. Do those kinds of things that don't leave a lasting mark or impression that you can't undo later. But things are definitely changing for you at home. You could have things that are changing with your mother, with your own motherhood abilities. So there could be some kind of fun, surprising elements there. Now, children still come to mind for me because of the fact that that Neptune energy in Aries is in your fifth house of children. So again, if you're not ready for children, Sagittarius, I'm just going to tell you to be really careful at this time, because it could definitely surprise a few of you out there. Now, let's take a look at Capricorn. So Capricorn, this is your third house of community. It can have something to do with communication, transportation. It could have something, a new beginning with siblings, cousins. This is all the extended family members that falls here. But there's something that you're starting, fresh, because you've ended, something else. So there can be some letting go of some kind of extended family member that brings like the rest of the family together, for instance. It's definitely possible. And because of that kind of an event, then there's this reconnection that's happening for you and the rest of those family members. It is the fifth house where Uranus is. So it can be a child that surprises you in some way as well. And that is what could be like a happy situation where they get engaged or they suddenly elope and got married, and then everybody would be coming together to celebrate this event in some way. Now, Capricorns are very serious, and this is a very emotional time, but still it is the, creativity, the spirituality that you can connect with in new and different ways that are going to allow you to also consider the community that you're currently a part of, and do you want to make some changes? So, is it because of a child moving out and you become an empty nester, and that allows you to move potentially? So really big, exciting changes that are possible. And then you like that Cancer energy, that Aries energy definitely challenges you because it squares you and asks you to consider changing the way you've always been and consider a new direction. Will you? Let me know, Capricorns. And then we have Aquarius. So Aquarius, this is in your second house, of course, of the money you make. So it could be a new source of income. It could be a new job altogether that is happening. And of course, because of that Pisces element of endings, you would have to let go of the one that you currently have in order to start this new one. And it could be one that you start that has to do with healing, could have something to do with music. It could have something to do with faraway places in a foreign country. So there is the potential for even a 6-month assignment because of that Pisces element there as well. Now, the surprise does come from your fourth house of home and family. So there are some of you who are definitely relocating for work, even if, like I said, it's a temporary assignment until that full moon in Pisces happens. The other thing it could be is a surprise inheritance from family because of the fact that Uranus in Taurus energy is in your fourth house of family. Or maybe you find a pot of gold in your backyard, which would be very surprising as well. But it allows you again to have more financial freedom in some way, which of course is what that Uranus in your fourth house is inspiring you to do. Now, if you don't want to move, if you're not looking to be making dramatic changes within the home that you live in, it would be, again, a good time to just get in there and redecorate and bring vibrant colors that are earthy in nature and mix up the energy that way so that you don't have to move, because that would be really overwhelming, I am sure. Then finally, Pisces, this is your new moon. This is how you want to define yourself going forward. Who am I? What do I believe in? How am I showing myself to the rest of the world? And this is a whole rejuvenation for yourself in your dreams and where you want to be headed. And with that help, the surprise in your third house, this is about you being willing to speak up and speak in a way that other people are paying attention to you. It could also be energy that's excitable, right, in your third house, which rules transportation. So just keep your foot off the gas and don't go too crazy. But I do think for a lot of you Pisces, you're stepping up and stepping out and into the new world, right? With this energy in your second house, with all of the Neptunian dreams about the work that you do being highlighted right now, this could bring a major change in your career that gives you a lot more independence, a lot more creativity that you can use on a daily basis. And when you're feeling good about what you do on a day-to-day basis, it starts showing up, visually in how other people are seeing you, which of course is also the first house. So you feel healthy again. You feel recharged. You feel in charge. That's what's possible. So there could be new elements to healing yourself that are coming up in shocking and surprising ways. New information that comes in that suddenly changes everything for you. And if you've been struggling with health, that you could have some pretty incredible breakthroughs as a result. All right. That's just my little fantasy way of working with, of course, Neptune in the sign of Aries and these dreamy Pisces waters to dream up what's possible. But if you really want to fine tune that, make sure you use that new moon worksheet to help yourself get in tune with the energy. This is new moon intentions that you want to do near water. The one that I created in there is for, speaking your intentions into the water and then drinking it. You could say them in the shower. You could sing them in the shower, right? It's all about what is calling to you at this time. And then because of that element of surprise and unexpectedness with Uranus, don't be so rigid in how you set your intentions. Leave the universe space to help truly bring what is aligned for you. So you got to work with the energy, be flexible, be in the flow, and the sky's the limit. This is, like I said, pretty amazing. Beautiful breakthroughs are possible. And I can't wait to hear from you. But I will be, as I mentioned, not available for readings for the next 3 weeks because I am taking a very extended road trip and visiting family and traveling with friends. And so that means you're going to have to rely on these videos that I will have ready for you, even though I'm traveling, and I'll still do a little daily message for everybody, but expect things to look a little different and be a little inconsistent as I am out and about across the country. And then when I return the week of April 6th, you can start scheduling sessions with me again. And that will be starting to line us up with the next full moon. So I look forward to hearing how everybody's experiences go with this new moon in the sign of Pisces. So keep those comments coming, keep subscribing, keep liking, keep sharing my work with other people. And like I said, go out to my website if you want to make sure that you can work with me as soon as I get back, schedule those sessions. And I look forward to them. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I know it's a little long one, but that's why there'll be timestamps down there for you so you can enjoy it in bite sizes if you need to. All right, guys, take care, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye now.